cow, what did I just watch? I almost said some colorful language, everybody. We are about to talk about season 3 of Invincible here today on Two Geeks and a Microphone.
Hello
there.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
I jumped the gun, everybody. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Two Geeks and a Microphone. I am your co-host, Mr. Stephen Boster, along with the one, the only, Mr. Michael Shanks. Mike, say hey to everybody.
Good morning to all you geeks out there in Geekdom Land, except it looks like not on Facebook because for some reason it's not. The streaming didn't work on Facebook.
We did something wrong, but that's okay, everybody. We'll make sure we get it posted and stuff. Thanks for joining us. Hey, real quick, Mike, because we're talking about Invincible, who do we have coming back to help us discuss Invincible Season 3?
We have the big dog himself from Big Dog Inc., Mr. Tom Hutchison.
Hutchison. Yes. Hutchison. We keep wanting to put the N in there. We were talking about before you came on. We're like, oh, there's no N in it.
That's right. I like how I've become like sort of the de facto Invincible guy. Like I do have a 1 degree of separation to Invincible in that I know Ryan Otley and he's worked for us at Big Dog Inc. So there is a 1 degree separation, but
nice.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah.
That's great. Well, Tom, it's great to have you back with us because we've had, as we were saying earlier before the show, we've just had a blast having you with us and hanging out with you. And so really appreciate your time. And but we want to give kudos to you and the work that you're doing. Everybody, if you want to check out his website, it is bigdoginc.com, and you can kind of get a glimpse of all the work that he does there. He does have a Patreon page we were talking about before the show. I have failed to mention this in the past. I'm so sorry, but I want to talk about it. That's on me. So patreon.com/bigdoginc. That is INK, Inc. BIGDOGINK. And so we'll talk more about that later, but please check out his work. His team, they do some great stuff. We've had a blast talking about that, and we're going to go more in detail because he's got another Kickstarter coming up in April, and you can find him on Kickstarter, but we'll talk about that also a little bit later. But I want to give a shout out right here at the beginning. So all right, well, Mike,
I just noticed when you look at your website, when you look at the address and Big Dog Inc. all together, it looks like Badoink. I thought that was funny.
Big Doink?
Anyway, Badoink.
Oh, I don't think it looks like that.
That's what it looked like to me when you put it up there.
Oh,
Badoink.
Oh, the way I put it. Oh, the way it looks. Oh, I got you.
Right. All one word, Badoink.
Gotcha. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get rolling, everybody, because we've got a lot to talk about. Tom, I've got a lot of questions for you because I know you've read through much of Invincible comics. Mike, I know you have delved into them. Okay, so everybody, what time? For those who are listening,
1 through 25 right up there.
Nice.
He has 1 through 25. So he's showing us his bookshelf, and they're all right there. So for those that you're listening, I have questions. So I'm excited to talk about it. So we're going to get the other stuff wrapped out. Wait, Mike, do you have any geeky news?
I have no geeky news, but I do have a geektar.
All right. So do I. So let's do this.
All right.
Go with the radar, sir.
What's wrong with it?
I've lost the bleeps, I've lost the sweeps, and I've lost the creeps.
The what? The what? And the what?
You know, the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps.
It's not all he's lost.
All right. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
So mine, like usual, is a comic book. Imagine that. And this kind of goes with our episode last week. So I've been purchasing all of the re-releases of the original Crisis, the facsimiles that DC is putting out.
Yeah.
been really cool so far. But last week I went in and they gave me my latest copy, which I was surprised. I didn't realize this, but it is a foil cover and it looks incredible. So I was like, oh, this is a foil I was pretty excited about.
You can thank me for that.
Yeah, I think well, here, Tom.
Retro foils are my idea, DC. My idea. I was doing that long before you were doing that.
So, Tom, also, and I showed this one last week for my Geektar, but Steven and I are both pretty big fans of the Rippaverse, Eric July, and I got his latest Bloodruth issue, which is also a beautiful foil cover. So I guess Eric can thank you for that one too.
Well, no, he's doing that's legitimate first time.
Well, that's true.
Foils, yeah, that's
true.
That we didn't invent, but the retro foil, that's a Big Dog Ink thing.
Nice. Well, I thought it was really, really nice.
It does. It came out really good. Yeah, it came out really good.
Anyway, so that's my Geek Dark for today.
Cool. Well, mine is more of the, everybody knows I love movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So yesterday on Netflix, they premiered Electric State. And that's with Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt are in it. Very reminiscent in style of a movie to Ready Player One, kind of. It's this concept of people are plugged into a computer network kind of a thing, but yet there's robots in the real world. There was this robot war, but that took place in the 90s. The movie takes place like 4 years later. So you've got all these fun 90s references, and like Ready Player One did all kind of pop culture references. It did all these 90 references, like the big bass, the big mouth bass, kind of thing, all those unique toys and stuff like that. The singing bass, yeah. So it had all kinds of neat things with it. But it's a cute story. It's PG-13, and so I watched it with my wife Kelly, and we actually really enjoyed it. It was a really good, not overly dark, because we're in the mood for a dark movie last night, because we thought about Heretic with Hugh Grant. We thought, that looks kind of interesting, I can get into some religious horror kind of a thing. I thought, that looks good. But I was like, I'm just not in the mood, because we've been fighting the flu all week. So we were like, I don't want anything dark. So we actually really enjoyed it. If you asked me to give you a score, I'd give it 8 out of 10 robots. That it was worth the watch kind of a thing. So really enjoyed it. The references were fun. It wasn't too dark, but it had some pretty crazy stuff, but it has some great cute points in it and stuff like that. We also just reviewed Love Hurts with Ki Kwan. I can't say his name right, but Short Round, the guy he's aged, just like us, who played Short Round, was in it as well. That was kind of fun to see him in a neat role and stuff like that. But you had Stanley Tucci was in it. Let's see, Chris Pratt, Ki Kwan. Who else was in it? There was one other actor in there that I was like, so they've got some pretty good actors that were in there as well. Oh yeah. The guy who, if those of you who've seen Breaking Bad, the Chicken Man, the guy who ran the Giancarlo Esposito,
right.
Was in there and actually did a really good job too. He was kind of like a bounty hunter kind of character. So it was nice to see him play sort of a villain, but not really a villain. I'm just the hired hand, not the guy who does.
Starting to get typecast.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. 100%.
I mean, he's good.
Listen, he was just a bad guy in Captain America. I mean, he's
right.
That's what he is.
And he's a bad guy in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is good at.
He's just so good.
Really good at
he was in that Abigail movie. I think wasn't he in that Abigail movie?
Abigail
for like 3 minutes, and he kind of set things up and got everybody trapped in the house. Like,
yes,
he's just the bad guy.
He's the bad guy. That's right. Yeah. Was he? But he was kind of he was more.
I wonder how much he got paid for 3 minutes. I'll
He
bet
did
it
pretty
was
good though. The clips I've seen of that I know what you're talking about in Abigail. I haven't watched the whole thing straight through because sometimes I'll watch. I've got a YouTube subscription and I'll watch stuff, and then the movie clips will come out, and I'm like, "Ooh, what's this movie?" And sometimes I'll be so distracted, I'll start watching. Oh, give me another clip of that movie. Give me another clip. And Abigail was one of those. Because like, oh, what an interesting premise.
Yeah, the clips are better than the movie.
Okay, all right, good to know.
Just watch the clips. You'll enjoy it more. Just watch the clips.
and think about it, Steven. Then you don't have to Steven skip.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is the Steven skip. Is just
right.
watching the clips.
I just watched the clips. Just the clips, man. The clips and only the clips.
Yeah, because I mean the ending is so irrelevant that like you just watch the good parts and you'll be fine.
Nice. Good to know. All right. Well, Tom, do you have anything on your Geek Dart? Anything that you've been doing recently in the geek world? Reading, watching?
Not really.
Creating?
I haven't seen a lot of movies this year, other than just kind of some old backlog stuff. I did see Captain America earlier on, which was okay. It was okay.
Which Captain America? Which
the
one?
new one?
The new one. Oh, okay.
What do they call it? The
New World.
Brave New
New
World. Brave New World. Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be New World Order, and then they changed it.
And they changed it. Yeah, they changed it. It was okay. I really wasn't up on it at all. I was like, I just don't care. Nothing about this makes me want to go see this movie. But with when they put Harrison Ford in there, and then they had the Red Hulk. When they finally revealed they were going to do a Red Hulk, I was like, oh, okay. I like the Hulk lore, the general all Hulk sort of lore. And so I was like, okay, and now you've piqued my interest. Let me go see what they're doing with the Hulk. And it was an okay movie. It was
happy with the Red Hulk.
I was
okay
overall. I don't remember how they did it to him in the comics, so I don't remember if there was a correlation there. That I don't remember. But the way that they did it in the movie, and I won't spoil it, but the way they did it in the movie, I thought worked fine. And it really did encompass Hulk lore. I mean, for the one spoiler I'll put out is it officially makes the Ed Norton Hulk canon. I mean, 100% canon now. And I won't say why, but there are obvious reasons if you watch the movie. It always kind of was, especially when they brought the Abomination into She-Hulk and things like that. It was kind of always this loose, yeah, we'll talk about that. But now it is 100% Marvel canon. So I kind of like that because I love that particular Hulk movie too. So but it was okay. It did what it needed to do. It wasn't over the top. I mean, you can tell by the money it's making. It's going to probably top out around 400 million. So it's not people call it a bomb. I don't know if it's a bomb. It's making some money, but it's not going to be like even 600 million. So
it's not going to come anywhere near like the original Avengers did.
Well, it's not even going to come anywhere near the DC movies, which were making $600 and $700 million. So, it's definitely on the low tier of like, as far as how much money it's making, but as far as like watchability, I found it watchable. Giancarlo's in it. I didn't find him watchable, which is weird because I like him. It wasn't that he was bad. It was that I didn't buy into him in his character.
Who is he playing? I don't even know who.
It's a spoiler.
I guess it's been out for a month. He plays a character called Sidewinder, which is part of the Serpent Society guys, which were removed originally because you had Seth Rollins who was going to play King Cobra, and then there was a girl who was going to play Diamondback. I can't remember her name. And then they took that stuff all out when Giancarlo became available, and they reshot stuff so that Giancarlo was the main Snake guy.
They took all the comic booky stuff out of the comic book movie.
Yes. But the problem is that even because I got to see set pictures of Seth and Diamondback, they were still just put them in some vests. Like, who cares? Like, where are our costumed villain guys? Like, I'm so tired of like, here's a bad guy, put him in black, give him a vest and a gun, and name him a comic book thing. I was like, this is dumb. Like, if you're going to do the Serpent Society, bring me the Serpent Society. This is what I want. I want to see it.
They were doing that too. And then they they seem to have gotten away from it,
Yeah.
because that had been the entire joke with, like, if you go back to the X-Men series, the original X-Men series that started in the early 2000s, you know, they made jokes about, oh, what do you want me to wear, yellow spandex? And then here we get the yellow
Yeah.
spandex, and everyone was super happy about it.
Oh yeah.
But now it sounds like they're going backwards and going, oh, well, we don't want to do the costumes.
Well, it's like they have it's like they're almost embarrassed now of the costumes, because all the costumes are just becoming like these real world things. And obviously the Falcon, he has his, you know, wings and all that kind of stuff, but it's still just basically a jumpsuit. This is Cap's jumpsuit, a star, you know, it's just the thing. So, but if you're going to have superheroes in some sort of costume, well, your supervillains should be in some sort of at least themed element costume. But if it's just, you know, a Sidewinder's wearing a trench coat and he's got a gun, like, I don't care. That's not interesting, and that's not Giancarlo's fault at all.
No,
Yeah, that was sort of the downside, because when I had heard the Serpent Society, I've always loved the Serpent Society. So when I heard that was happening, I was like, yeah, you got me. And then they pulled it out. I was like, you don't have me anymore. And then of course the Red Hulk showed up and I was back in. So it's an okay movie. It's still better than Eternals. You know, so there's that.
Okay.
But it does connect to the Eternals, ironically enough. So
I saw some images of that. I saw a clip.
You saw. I didn't watch the Eternals, but from what I understand about the Eternals, that's not like a high bar.
Oh, it's the bottom. I mean, for me, it's the bottom. Well, I'll have to say honestly, Marvel's is the bottom for me, because it's the only movie I've not seen from all the Marvel universe.
I have not seen it either, to be open.
Zero interest in attempting to watch that movie. So that's got to be the bottom if I don't even want to watch it.
Right.
But as far as what I've actually seen, yeah, Eternals was just, it was I think the bummer with the Eternals is that it had really high concept stuff going on, but it didn't execute it in a way that worked. The celestial element of it, you know, being born in the earth and all that kind of stuff. Like, there was some really, really high concept stuff that they were trying to do. And, but it just, the storytelling, the characters, the actors, it just, nothing for me gelled at all. And I found myself pulling my phone out in the theater, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not at home. Like, put that back in my pocket. I couldn't connect with it. And I was in the theater at the time. So it wasn't like I was at home, like distracted. I was like in the movie theater. And it it couldn't hold me. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that doesn't give me high hopes for it.
Well, and the fact that it's been 4 years or so since it's come out, and it's taken this long for anything to happen to relate to it. It's clearly you're not missing anything.
I think they went through a lot of changes before they actually finally decided to put it out too. You know,
well, in fairness, it was one of those movies that came out, right after COVID, and people were just getting back to theaters and, all that kind of stuff. But, people going to the movies doesn't change what the movie is.
True.
It could be a great movie that nobody went and saw. And then people discover it later, like, oh no, this was good. We all missed it. But in this case, the general public reaction is, for the most part, like, yeah, this is not real great.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. If you had to give it a score out of 10 for the not Eternal, sorry, let me go back to the Brave New World, what would you give it?
Oh,
we'll say Red Hulks. How many Red Hulks out of 10 Red Hulks?
I won't even rate it with Hulks. I'll rate it with cherry blossoms, because that was the whole finale, was this ridiculous cherry blossom scene. I'd give it 4 cherry blossoms. Yeah. Whoa. It's watchable. It's very watchable, but there's not a lot in it outside of the Hulk part. And that's obviously that's your finale. So you kind of have to work through the movie to get to the Hulk part. And then you get a cool fight, and the Red Hulk is really good. It looks really good. You can see Harrison in the face of it. They did a good job in that context. But you got to go through the whole thing to get to it. And what you have in that sort of beginning 2/3 there's not a ton of meat on the bone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angie, Geek Girls Gaming, she gives it a 5.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. It's a middle of the road, movie. Yeah.
Right
Okay.
on. Okay. Great discussion. All right. Are we ready to hit the main event? Because I am ready. All right. Let's do this. Once I get to the right picture. It's time for the main event. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody, we are talking Invincible season 3, and ever since I watched the finale, I have been itching to talk about this show this season, and especially with Tom. And I can't wait to get into spoilers, but we better do our review first. All right, everybody, if you enjoying the show, we're so thankful that you're with us. Just want to say real quick shout out. Thanks, Tom, for being here with us. He's with Big Dog Inc. Check out his website, Big Dog Inc. with a K.com. And then also, we take this time to kind of give our general overview, kind of about the season, no spoilers. And then we give our rating out of 10. And then we move into spoilerific territory. So I'm pretty excited about that. So who would like to go first to talk about?
Well,
things?
since Tom's a guest, I say we let Tom go first.
Well, my review is kind of always the same because, like I said before on the show, I know what's coming, and
Yes.
so everything for me is a little somewhat tainted in the excitement level. It's like it's cool to see, but I'm like, I'm not the guy who freaks out when I see something adapted into the thing. It's like, oh yeah, all right, that's fine, I guess.
But you have one thing you're waiting for because we've
yes, and
you
it did
brought
not
up
appear. I got
last-
really excited about it. I thought episode 7 was going to be it because the way that the description was, and because the
and
show
how it ended too.
is
Episode 7 ended.
Yeah.
I thought, oh no, is that the end? Yeah. Yeah.
and then because the show is not a direct adaptation of the comics, so like this is season 3 of this show, but it's like volume 10 of the comics. Like we've torn through like almost 10 or 11 volumes of the comics to get to volume 3 or to get to season 3. So we're already over a third of the way through the entire series, assuming that they are going to adapt the whole series. So it's kind of wild to see how fast they made the show work while also modifying the show. The sequence of events is not always exactly as it was in the comic book. So that helps me enjoy it a little more because I'm kind of like, oh, well, that was some of that happened a different way, and whatever. So that was kind of cool. But I'm enjoying it, and I love just the fact that it exists is cool to me because it's one of these things where we get so much Marvel and DC stuff. It's rare that we get anything else. And so the fact that Hollywood is now clearly actively looking to be like, oh, well, what else is there? That's a great thing in my opinion.
Yeah. Angie, thanks for popping in.
Yep. Thank
Say
you.
hey. She just want to say that. Also, real quick, we've got Sam in the house as well. Hello, Sam. Good to see
morning,
you.
Sam. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so season 3, this was a fun season. I really liked it. I liked the development of Oliver a lot. I thought he was a really good character. I'm enjoying that very much. I like the dilemma that Mark's going through. He's kind of having a moral dilemma on whether to help serve Cecil and such. And I'm enjoying that very much. And then we got a nice little Walking Dead flashback per se that I was very happy with.
Yeah, that stuff happened in the comics too.
That's cool.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So overall, I'm very happy with season 3. I thought it was really, really good.
And what volume of the comic are you up to so far?
I've still got to start number 3.
Okay.
That's as far as I've gotten. So I'm nowhere near close.
So it's all new to you at this point.
Yeah, it's all new to me. Everything that happened in this was new. I mean, I haven't seen in the comic books yet, what we saw where Nolan went to the other planet and fell in love with the bug woman and had Oliver and all that. I haven't read any of that stuff. So, yeah. So, yes, all of this is brand new, and pretty much everything I've seen in season 3 I like. So,
okay. I really like this season compared so I will say there were some Steven Skip moments when I was like, oh, these are just people talking. Drama. Skip. Kind of.
I sort of had a Steven Skip moment. I'll have
Did
to
you?
talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is fine. Okay, she's dating the realtor dude. Okay, skip. They're talking about something. Okay, skip. Okay. Oh, there's Oliver. I'll watch this part. What's happening with Oliver lately? And like skip. Like, oh, hey, here's, there's a blossoming relationship happening. Oh, okay. What's happening here? Oh, they're just talking skip, kind of a thing. Or, okay, they're just talking about, oh, can we do this or not? Skip. Okay. But fight sequences were great. The relationships between anything that had to do with Cecil, if Cecil was in there, I was curious because I was like, man, this is an interesting twist that I didn't expect realistically, the whole relationship with Cecil, but I like it. I like the tension in their relationship. And then I, Tom, just like you at the end of 7, I thought, no, there's got to be one more. No one ended on 7 episodes. There's got to be one more. And I could not wait to find out. Everybody, that's going to be in spoilerific territory. So, of what happens in the finale of season 3. And there were several moments that I have some questions and discussions I'd like to bring up about the finale. And then, but overall, I would say I'm glad that we watched it. I'm glad that we're doing the show because it wanted me questioning more of what's coming.
Nice.
I was like, okay, where are we headed with this, or what is going to happen? I'm like, oh, I think some mistakes are being made that are going to come back to bite them in the butt, kind of a thing. So I'm interested to talk more in our super spoilerific territory of what we may see in upcoming seasons
Nice.
as well. So just like we did last time, and it was fabulous. So, all right. Anyway, with that being said, what were your guys' ratings? What's I give it, for me personally. Oh, what are we going to use our rating system as?
Oh, what was really prevalent in this season? Gosh,
Multi-Pauls. How many multi-Pauls?
I love it. Let's do it.
that'll work.
I give it 8 out of 10 multi-Pauls.
Okay.
8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it.
I also give it 8 out of 10.
All right. 8 out of 10 multi-Pauls.
Yeah, if it was all new to me, I'd probably agree. So, but I'm at 7 multi-Pauls.
Okay.
But
Fair
again,
enough.
my rating is based on just the fact that I know what the hell's going on already. So,
It's like a rerun for you, right?
it is. Yeah, it is really a rerun. Yeah.
But in the
In
wrong
some
order.
capacity. Yeah.
But it's a rerun in the wrong order because you're saying
Slightly.
it doesn't follow the
Not
books.
exactly. Yeah.
So
Gives me-
since it's not exactly in the order, is there some surprises still?
I don't know. It's more like they cut so much out in order to sort of tighten it up. But then we're not really in the super spoilerific. We're going to give one little spoilerific thing. So like with Conquest, he shows up and he's got his big like metal arm, right?
Right.
That gauntlet
That's
or whatever.
not in the comic. Like that part, he has 2 normal hands.
Oh, okay.
When they have that fight in the comic, the metal hand comes later. So there's weird, like I can see like weird, modifications happening in the overall story, which again, they're there to tighten things up. But that means that, now we're going to be losing things that came after that, so I don't know what they're contracting or expanding beyond this, because we've clearly wiped out some section where he, loses the hand and then gets the metal hand and fights again or whatever. So,
well, we might get a backstory on how that happened too.
Sure, we might, but it came about in the comics. It came about because of what we've already seen.
This fight.
Yeah. So,
okay,
just little things like that. I noticed, and I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of different. And so I wonder how much, because if we're going to get Dinosaurus, if that's going to be included in this show, it should be the following. It should be season 4, based on everything that the comics tell me. That's where it happens. And the question would just be then, how much are we going to get at this guy? Because he's not like a monstrous, like long stretch of the comic book, but when you're only doing like 8 episodes per season, I would hope that he gets at least, half of that.
Now, is Dinosaurus like actual dinosaur size, or is he human size?
He's like Hulk dinosaur size. He's like big,
So he's not big enough for like somebody to ride.
He's not like T-Rex, thing. Yeah, he's like a Hulk sized, dinosaur.
Because I was gonna say, please tell me that Dinosaurus shows up and Alan is riding him.
Oh gosh,
I was gonna say that'd be amazing,
right?
Because Alan the alien, I think, is my favorite character in the whole series. I love him.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm making notes so I don't forget later on because I have questions. So
that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all.
All right. Well, there's the rating, everybody. There's kind of the general thing. The general premise of this season is there's tension between Invincible and Cecil at the very beginning, the first part of it. And then we get some more with Nolan and, oh gosh, what's the one-eyed guy's name? Being
Alan?
in the... Yeah, Alan. Yeah, in the jail or in the Viltrumite jail kind of a thing. And there's a great sequence there. And there's a new character that's kind of really brought to play that I really like in that I'm curious to talk about. And then we get kind of this relationship budding with Adam and Eve and Invincible. And then how all of that, everything all plays into this big final battle of a new character who shows up right at the end of 7, which we said it was Conquest, and then the big battle of the season in episode 8, season 3, episode 8. So that's kind of the big premise, but I'm ready to get into some spoilerific territory. It is about that time that we do that to everybody. So this is the time where if you have not watched Invincible season 3 yet, please go do so now and come back and join this conversation, because not only are we going to talk about Invincible season 3, but we will be talking about how that will look for episodes, or possibly predictions for season 4. And I've got questions about little more details about some things that were introduced in the last episode. So, all right. So we are headed into spoilerific territory, everybody. Warning. Wah, wah. Oh, so we are in spoilers all over the place. Okay.
All right. I'm going to tell you the one that blew me out, because this was not in the comics, was with Multi-Paul, when they put him in jail and he had to figure out how to get out. I was like, yo, that's horrific.
Yes.
And that was something that they added. That was not in the comic book. So,
oh, wow. Really?
Yeah,
I didn't Steven skip that part.
Yeah. That was one of those things that Kirkman, clearly is still, behind the scenes working his writing magic of like, let's make this nuts. Like, let's look at these guys' powers and see what the, extremes of it really would be.
Yeah.
And basically, turning a million Multi-Pauls into mush in order to break down a door. Like, holy God. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was gritty. That was like, whew.
My wife has been kind of watching at it. And she's just like, oh, And I go, you do realize this is Rob Kirkman who did Walking Dead, right? So I'm like, you're gonna get that. Which she was a big fan of Walking Dead. She loved The Walking Dead, but yeah, she's not so much a fan of Invincible.
Yeah, but I would agree. I'd agree with you when that whole section with Multi-Paul and what he did. That was the one moment I'm like, that's who thinks that? Who thinks that this is the way I'm going to have to break out in to do this? And
Apparently Kirkman.
well, yeah, evidently, yes. But just even as a character, I'm like, that's dark for any character.
Oh yeah.
I know,
I mean,
but
think of how many of yourself you're killing to do that. I mean, that alone is just weird.
yes, I agree. That was a great shocker moment. Yes. Any other shocker moments for you, Tom?
Oh, I don't know. That was, I think that was the one that really threw me off. The rest kind of was as expected. I like that. I like that they've really tightened this whole thing up, and you gotten to the point where we get to see the bonus element of Eve's powers, and again, everything to the extreme. It's like, how far do these powers go? Like, what are their limits? Are there limits to any of these things? And so you got a lot of even Rex. He had to kind of make his final sacrifice in a very unique way. That was not part of the comics.
I thought he had a good story arc. I liked him because in the beginning I didn't care for his character much, which I mean, I think that's by design.
Yep.
He's I'll say it, he's an asshole. he is. That's all there is to it. But I think his death was very heroic, and I think it gave a good, very nice story arc to him, which I enjoyed, and it made me like his character better in the end. So
agreed. I did enjoy that part of it. That's a good point, though, Tom. I would say on the aspect of this season, I didn't think of it from that way, about this season being what are the limits, or what are the scopes? How far can we push these powers and abilities and stuff? Let's go back to Adam Eve. I almost said Adam and Eve. Sorry. Adam Eve, with her power. So here's a spoiler, everybody. So when fighting Conquest, I mean, she gets in the mix. I'm like, she's dead. She dead. He dead. She dead. They all dead. Kind of a thing. And then when it started happening, I was like, oh no. And then, well, I don't know. My brain went, because I was really upset by it, because we have this whole arc, the whole season, about the relationship between her and Invincible. Yeah. And I thought, oh no, all this story is now gone because now she's dead, kind of a thing. And then when she comes back again, thinking, oh, it's a superhero, they all come back somehow, some way, kind of a thing.
Especially in this universe. They can have their head stomped and still come back.
Yeah. So I thought, well, maybe she'll come back or something like that. But I was really drawn in. I found myself really drawn with that character, with the storyline with her. So much so, because of what occurs here, the limits of her power wants me to go back and watch the Adam Eve special, because I haven't seen it. And so then she comes back, and I thought, well, is this just a Deus Ex Machina thing? Like, okay, we're just going to bring him back. I'm going to say no, because she comes back to life, everybody. Her limits of her powers, like the way they explain her, she explains it is, it's like she has this barrier that when it becomes a life and death moment, it kind of opens, and then she like heals herself, and is really super full power, which was great to see. But it created more story, if that makes sense. For example, I'm trying to get this concept out. I'm so sorry. I'm talking out loud trying to explain it. Wizard's First Rule by, what's his name? He's written a whole series. The TV series was Legend of the Seeker. But the first book was Wizard's First Rule. I think he passed away like 4 years ago. But one of the things criticized about his is like he would write, then all of a sudden there would be this thing on the ground or something would happen, and ta-da! It fixed all our problems. And I've always been concerned about Deus Ex Machina stuff where, oh, all of a sudden we get this final thing and it fixed everything. I almost thought that with Adam Eve when she could, all of a sudden she could rejuvenate herself, except the fact that it created more lore. And I thought, oh, that's okay. I can take that rather than just being, hey, we just brought her back. But it was like, no, it made me more curious about her character. Does that make sense, or am I just talking out loud?
No, you're just talking out loud. No.
Yeah.
No. You're absolutely right. It is in a way, and I have to be careful to tread lightly for future story points, but it does come off that way a little bit. But I think Kirkman. Here's the thing. Like you just said, oh, it's superheroes. They all come back somehow, right? So we all have to have that suspension of disbelief. We have to exist in the idea that these characters will die, will come back, but they have to come back in a way that is as organic and natural to the storytelling as possible, versus just like, oh, we made a clone of Adam Eve and now she's back, like that kind of nonsense. Yeah. So with Kirkman, again, we went through the expansion of powers, like what are the limits of all these guys' powers or strengths or whatever. And so Kirkman, so for those that don't know, Adam Eve can't, she rearranges matter, but she can't rearrange what she calls sentient matter, which means like she can't just like look at a monster and be like, boop, like the monster's gone. So the fact that her powers are open to that, but only within herself, starts to create an organic sort of rationale behind some of what's going on. I wouldn't say it's necessarily perfect, but it's at least interesting within the character, within the confines of what we understood the character to be able to do, and so on and so on. So it's always not the what happens, but the how. And if the how is rational within a storytelling sense, then the audience can accept what it is versus just being like, well, it wasn't really dead, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought. Go ahead.
That's why I don't remember which character, but one of them, and I know who it was. It was what's the big guy, the big Viltrumite? What's his name again?
Conquest.
When Conquest, quote unquote, gets killed, my wife's like, she said something about him dying, and I said, well, yeah, he's dead, or is he really dead? Because in this universe, like I said earlier, they can get their heads stomped and come back. But that's something that has, those things have been set in this universe. So you're still playing with the rules of this universe.
Right.
And I think when you take it in that aspect, as long as you're playing with the rules that you've created within this universe, it's fine. It's like you said, they're not just cloning him and bringing him back. They actually have reasons for why he's able to come back. Mm-hmm. And not every character that has died has come back either.
Nor will they. Don't
right.
Get that twisted. It's not like you're going to see all these people back again.
Right, exactly. And I, as soon as he quote unquote died, I was like, oh no, they're not done with him. This one's not done. And I don't even think he was dead to begin with, especially the way it ends. But I also wanted to say something else about Adam Eve. I felt very Dark Phoenix when she came back. The look of her and everything. I was like, oh, she's going Dark Phoenix on us, and I thought that was kind of cool. I like that. And then also, Tom, you had said that how did you put it? She can't change sentient matter. Mm-hmm. I believe her character actually referred to that in that last episode. Mm-hmm. She said as a child that they
put blocks.
They blocked her to where she couldn't use her full power, but if she got angry enough, kind of hulking out, she could expand that and do that more. So
Yeah, extreme trauma
Right,
is what
extreme
the yeah. So
Is that what it is?
death basically is would activate and open the doors for her to rebuild herself.
right. So, and I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting to the story, and like Steven said, it added to the lore.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just, hey, we just fixed it. You know, the odds are 100% against us. We're failing. We're dying. We're all there. And then, oh, hey, I found this penny and it saved everything. It wasn't, you know, it was very much lore driven. I wondered now that thanks. I appreciate your explanation. That was helpful, because now I'm thinking, does she now take more risks knowing that those doors are now available to her? Does she take more risks going forward?
good question.
He's not going to answer. I see the smirk in his. It is.
I know the answer, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, you guys have to wait for more for that.
Fair enough.
Well
But that's a
played,
great.
Tom.
That's a fantastic. That's a great character aspect. If someone realizes that they can get really jacked up, and theoretically their powers will pop them back. That could change how people handle themselves. It's a great question. It's a great question.
Yeah,
very good.
I will say I did enjoy seeing that smirk.
It's like Wolverine, right? I mean, Wolverine can take basically anything you can dish at him, and over time he will just come back.
Yep.
So he kind of knows that he can do whatever he wants to do, and he might get jacked up in the moment, but he'll be able to come back over time.
What's it? Speaking of people who come back, what was it? Was it Latham? Was that his name?
Angstrom.
Angstrom. Yes. Angstrom Levy. I thought it was interesting because, man, I thought he was dead. I thought he was a goner. And then all of a sudden, he was back. And I was like, what? How'd that happen?
He's they used a little bit of that Deus Ex Machina there, because they were just like, well, some guys from another dimension fixed him.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So they threw a little bit of that in there, but again, it does, like you were talking about, it does expand the lore. Now we have another dimension. We have these mechanics, or they call them mechanics, machiners, something like that.
What did you say, Megan?
Technicians.
Yeah, technicians. Very good.
I did like his line when he said something. How he said, "Yeah, it makes sense that technicians would bring me back," or something to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good. I like that.
So, but again, it opened the doors. It opened the lore a little bit. On and
Are the technicians in the comic book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It did make me curious about at the very end where they're like, what's our lore, or what's excuse me. I was curious what their lore was, because he goes, now you're one of us, or we're going to do great things together.
Yeah. They have their own plan, and Angstrom's part of that. And
yeah.
Well, not by choice. He's not.
No, not at that, at that
anymore.
point. No. No, but he's got to do what he's got to do now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I liked how they kind of turned on him. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I will say, at first with Angstrom's character, I was like, he started off as this really good character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to help everybody. And then misplaces his anger and stuff, but the trauma of it all exemplifies that. So I guess my point being is that I could track it. I could track the storytelling. I got it where it's like, okay, because of the trauma, it's misplaced. It's that revenge is what's driving him more than anything else. What would I do in that situation? Would I react that way as well? Kind of a thing. And made me really think about, is this character justified in how, I don't want to say crazy he is, but bent on revenge, I think, is where he's at. Because he was trying to do something good, got in his opinion, almost destroyed from it, trying to do the right thing. And then, well, you messed it all up. So, but I did think it was interesting that he brought all these other Invincibles from all these other dimensions to come help him. I thought that one was the one part I was like, really? Would you do that? Kind of a thing. That was the only question mark I had of his character motivation.
I don't
Kind
know.
of.
Well, but again, he went and found all the bad Invincibles.
That's true.
And he wanted them to show the world that Invincible was bad. That was
I
the whole
see.
point. Is like go out and show the world that Invincible is not what people think he is. And then of course at the end, let's go take out the real Invincible and let's do that part too. But yeah, that was the thing. That's the thing about of Angstrom is he's a hyper focused villain. He's not like hey, I'm a bad guy now and now I'm Doctor Doom style and stuff. He's like, no, I'm going to jack up Mark and his family like again and again and again, and that's my whole purpose of existence now is that.
Yes.
So he's a very hyper focused bad guy.
Yeah.
He's not worried about bank robberies anymore or,
right.
any of that kind of stuff. It's just make Mark look bad, make Mark feel bad. Like,
yeah. I'm going to bring you down like you did me.
I like seeing the different designs of the different marks. I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Also, we got another character along the same lines, and I can't think of his name, the guy with the electricity and everything. Powerplex. Yes. Thank you very much. He's kind of along the same lines. He hates Invincible because first he lost his sister and his niece, and there's a side of you that kind of goes, yeah, I think I can understand that. And then he tries to set up Invincible, and in the meantime, gets his wife and his own kid killed.
Yeah,
and yet he's blaming Invincible for that. But it's like, well, that was totally your fault, dude.
I'm totally anti-Powerplex, 100% anti-Powerplex. That character just bugs me. I don't buy into him at all. And he's sort of a tangent to Angstrom, where they have this hyper thing on him, and it's just kind of like, this feels semi-redundant. So literally, when I was watching that episode 7, I was like, I don't care. Like, just take me to what's next. Take me to what's next. But again, also partially because I knew it was there. So there wasn't a lot of new meat for me, right? So
okay.
But yeah, no, there's way better things going on in the universe than Powerplex.
Yeah, Mike knows that I have an issue in TV shows, movies, and stuff when kids are involved.
Mm-hmm.
And when that scene popped up, I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I think I'm just skip a little bit of this.
Oh, I didn't even think about that when it happens. And usually that's the first thing that comes to mind, and I didn't even consider it.
Yeah, I was like,
I looked at it as, this is his own doing. He screwed up. He's
it is
to his family.
Yeah, but the visualization of it can be wonky. It's like when they did the fight with Conquest. And Conquest is basically just like riding them like a surfboard through people, and they're just like tearing through people. There was even one shot where you saw a kid, and I was like, no, they're not doing that. And then they didn't. The kid like got his arm like, hit or something, but they didn't actually like blow up a kid.
Right.
So,
you saw him get his arm off. Yeah. I saw that part too.
He almost ripped Oliver in half. Almost.
Yeah. I thought it was that. Yeah. What was interesting about that one was he was describing it for you as it was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Conquest was telling you what was happening. I'm like, oh.
But these Viltrumites, they're that sadistic,
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
And I think that just emphasized more the fact that they're so sadistic.
Well, and
they enjoy the process so much that they can describe the entire thing as they're doing it.
Yeah, but that's even more Conquest character. Like the Viltrumites, especially as you go further on into the story, the Viltrumites, like Nolan and all of them kind of even tell you, like, we're here to just kind of take over and fix things and whatever. They believe themselves to be good guys, right? But Conquest is the one that literally truly takes, and he tells you through the whole episode, this is what I'm here for. I don't get to do this all the time. They told me to come here and just make it hell. So he's the guy that has sort of that, again, the expansion of powers, the expansion of ideology. That's what this whole season is how far can things go. And so Conquest is how far can a Viltrumite go and become mentally and physically and whatever,
Yeah.
because he's the ultimate bouncer for them. And then he even has that moment where he whispers in Mark's ear where he's like, I don't have friends. Everybody's afraid of me. And every time I do this, they become more afraid of me. I'm a victim of my own success. So he's a level above all of these other Viltrumites as well, sort of physically and mentally and emotionally and the whole thing. So he's his own Viltrumite level.
Well, the fun thing about Conquest is he is played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, that took me too long to figure out. Like, as soon as I heard that voice, I was like, I know who that is, but I'm not placing it.
Oh my gosh, I can hear it. I'm like, oh my gosh. The whole scene, I'm going, yeah, this is Negan. He just needs Lucille, man. Or Lucille. It was Lucille, right?
Yep.
He just needs Lucille. Where's Lucille, man? That's all I kept saying. And then, even better, Mark is what's his face from Walking Dead, the one he kills.
Yeah, Glenn.
Glenn. Mm-hmm. He's Glenn. So I'm like, we just got Negan and Glenn back. I mean, Glenn kind of gets to have his revenge. It's kind of cool, In fact, Glenn kind of does the same thing that Negan did. So that was the quote unquote Walking Dead moment I was talking about.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even catch that. There are
I got a feeling you were thinking the
zombie verse.
The zombie verse, the creatures that Cecil's group is kind of creating, because
not the Reanimen. Yeah, not the Reanimen, but there's actually when Mark is being blasted around through all of the very
multiverse,
parallel multiverse things, he lands in a zombie verse, and it's basically the Walking Dead thing. Yeah, and then there's even more of that in the comics where you actually see what's the cop's name? The two cops.
Gosh.
Whoever they are.
Yeah.
Carl's dad.
Right.
Those two cops actually are just in Invincible. At
awesome.
One point. So there's little things like that he just kind of sprinkles his stuff in. And of course, like Tech Jacket is a new character, right? But Tech Jacket is one of his he's like the Iron Man guy in the iron suit. He's one of Kirkman's old comics that he used to do. It was Tech Jacket. One of his creator-owned things that he, slid in there. And then here was the bummer part. So during the Invincible War in the comics, all of the Image heroes appear. Youngblood, Savage Dragon, Dynamo 5, on and on and on and on. They all appear in that stuff. It's just little blips, but they're all in there.
Okay.
None of that appeared in this fight, obviously. And I was kind of like, man, are you kidding? You just had the opportunity to open the door to Image animation by dropping in the Savage Dragon and saying, here it is.
Oh, wow.
Now take him and go do a Savage Dragon animation. Here's this. I was like, Now, clearly, there's rights and licensing, all of that would have to go into it, certainly, right? But it was such a bummer to me that not any of it appeared, like not even one miscellaneous character.
Youngbloods I thought Youngbloods was a DC property.
No, it's Image.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Liefeld's book.
Who does DC have?
Well, there's plenty of Bloods. Well, I mean, there's Bloods all over comics.
No, but there's a group that DC has that was like it wasn't a direct DC, but like an offshoot of DC. But they're making a big deal of it that they're going to bring them back in the new. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was Youngbloods, but I guess I got that mixed up. One thing that we need to talk about is Cecil. So we got insight into Cecil's background. We saw him younger, which I had the moment, or was it Cecil? one of the characters I had the moment, the Back to the Future moment. Did that guy ever have hair? But I guess it wasn't Cecil because they did give Cecil hair. But yeah, we saw him as a young man just starting out in whatever they call the government agency that he's a part of. And we see his beginning, and he has that same moment that Mark is currently having. And I thought that was a cool parallel between Cecil and Mark.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the Cecil story. I like that. I like where they're going with him. And I like how, like I said, there's this parallel between the two of them. But obviously Cecil is older, he's seen more, and he's willing to do what has to be done in order to save people. Where
Yeah. Do you think some of that has to do with how the very, very end, what Cecil went through? I'm processing what you were talking about, that what Cecil went through, but Invincible said at the very end, now you mess with my family, that's it. That moral compass that, like, now we're going to go back to the beginning where we're either the heroes or we save the world.
Right. Well, when Mark says that, my first thought was, oh crap, Nolan's coming out in Mark at this point. Not the fact that Nolan would do anything to save his family, but I'm like, oh crap, we're going to see, because I could see where this could manifest into Mark turning over into Nolan, where he's going to let the anger get the best of him, that kind of thing. That's what I kind of feared at that moment, at the end when he says that.
Things that make you go,
Of
but
course,
Tom knows.
Yeah,
Tom is.
knows.
You see the pursed lips he's got. He's like, I could say something. I could totally say something, but I don't want to spoil it.
And I had to say, the entire last episode, I kept when Conquest is beating the crap out of Mark, I kept saying, okay, Nolan and Alan are going to show up any minute now. And
I thought the same thing. Yes.
And the whole thing never happened. Not even a hint of it happening. And I was totally shocked. Of course, they kind of saved that for Adam and Eve. And so where Eve becomes kind of the hero at the end, which I mean, I like how that played out, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to see Nolan and Alan show up. That was, because we spent so much time with the story of Nolan and him being in the Viltrumite prison and getting out and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right. Any minute now, the cavalry's going to show up.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Now, speaking of which, before we get to super spoilerific territory,
okay,
there's a new character who I really liked, and that was Battle Beast. That was in the jail with them, and then they hold the breakout scene.
He was in the earlier stuff, though. He didn't just appear there. Yeah,
that's true.
He just got a little more character time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thankful for it, kind of a thing. So I really enjoyed him.
Good visual design. I really liked
it. And so because of course I've kind of looked up stuff on YouTube, and then YouTube's been popping up stuff for me on the whole Invincible world. I guess there's a new comic book coming out with Battle Beast. Mm-hmm. And also like,
yeah, it's some sort of a prequel type of thing, or parallel to the timeline of Invincible. I don't think it's like later on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sort of like an origin for him, I think. Yeah, origin story of some sort. Yeah.
Probably what they're doing, same kind of thing they're doing with Eve with that little bonus episode.
Right.
I assume that's what they're doing, because I haven't watched it yet. I'll probably be watching it this weekend. So,
yeah, I will say this: the Conquest episode, almost the Conquest fight. Excuse me, let me put it that way. The Conquest fight almost pulled me out of the show because my brain could not handle the level of destruction that was going on. I was just like, it almost got back. We've talked in the past, Tom, about how um, the Carnage
Yes.
run, the first Carnage run, went to all the different Spider-Man comics and stuff. I collected halfway through and I just couldn't do it anymore, just because it was so over the top for me. And that's kind of, I started to have that feeling in this. Okay, let's get this, all these buildings are being destroyed. I'm sure there's all these people in these buildings. And I was just like, well, what's happening with all of them? And I was just like, no, this is getting too outlandish for me.
Yeah, I don't think there was very many buildings very many people in the buildings, because I think at this point in the story, the city's been pretty much evacuated. So
not until he started surfboarding them through all those people.
All right. Fair enough. And I will say I loved Carnage. So you can tell
maximum Carnage. That was the line.
I love that series, and so you can tell out of the two of us who's the Sith and who's the Jedi. Apparently, I'm very Sithy.
All right. So real quick, I'm going to take up too much time, but Mike, if you don't want to hear this, plug your ears. I'm just kidding. But super spoilers. Conquest, absolutely, he's going to live at the end. That's my prediction. Absolutely.
Oh, mine too.
I don't even think it's going to be. I don't think Cecil's going to get information from him. I'm like, if he's going to come back, he's just going to pop through all that. Oh, there's 6 feet of concrete. I'm like, seriously.
He's going to turn him into one of his soldiers. That's what he's going to do.
I bet you he's going to bust out and create all kinds of havoc all over again.
I think Cecil's going to try to turn him into. He might not be able to do it, and we just may see Conquest just plain come back. But I think Cecil's going to try and turn him into one of his super soldiers. That's what I think Cecil's doing with him. And Tom's sitting there over there going, I already know. That's why he's sitting there going, I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, my whole question about this whole thing is how long are they going to go with it? Like, are they, because there's a moment in the comics where you can just stop right there as far as like a TV show goes.
Oh wow!
But then if they wanted to do the whole thing, the contracted version of it, I think they said that this thing has been approved. Well, Kirkman has said he wants to do I think he said 7 or 8 seasons if they could.
Okay.
Which, based on where we are now, 7 or 8 seasons would be the whole shebang.
Okay.
Right.
But I think it'll depend on the ratings. It'll depend on, how's it actually doing legitimately. And if they only wanted to do, let's say 5 seasons, there's a place where they could stop it and just be like, that'll work. We'll wrap it up right there.
Right.
And that's just a matter of, okay, is that what we're going to do? Or are we going to try and do all 25 volumes of this thing somehow?
Well, seeing what Kirkman did with The Walking Dead, I think he's going to see this all the way through to the end.
Well, but it's not completely up to him. He's not, that's what I'm saying. So if Amazon's like, well, we'll give you 5, wrap it up in 5, like there's a way to do it.
But
okay.
Like you said, if the viewers are there and
there's no reason to not stop.
I don't know what the ratings are on this. I have no idea. But if the viewership's there, Amazon's seeing money and they're going to, and I got a feeling it's there, but I don't know for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. How do I find out ratings?
It's very difficult. They don't like telling you a lot of ratings as far as streaming stuff goes. It's not always easy.
Yeah, I have no idea where.
A lot of times you don't really find ratings anymore. You can find viewership numbers. like, X million people watched, a show or whatever, but it
Right.
doesn't really necessarily equate to a rating.
Well, and today it's harder to tell that because it's not like old school television. They knew the numbers, everyone watching it. But now with streaming, it's so much. People watch it in different ways.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So all I've got is they say you can't get viewership numbers really for Invincible, but average tomato meter is 99%, average popcorn meter is 90%. It's their Amazon's best reviewed show so far.
So
there you go. There you go.
Sounds like it's making the money for Amazon. I think it's going to be around most likely till the end of the story. But like you're right. Viewership could fall off next season too. We don't know what the future is. So, but
not if Dinosaurus is in it, it won't fall off.
There you go. So we just got to root for Dinosaurus to show up at viewership.
Oh gosh. Well, I thought it was just a fabulous season. It was really good overall. I enjoyed it. It made me want to know more of the stories. It's getting more integrated or more in depth. What's the word I'm trying to say?
It's fleshing itself out. You're getting more and more. There's more layers. There's more, not just like, hey, there's new characters. Like it's even the characters are getting layers to themselves to, whether it's powers, whether it's, purpose of what they're doing or what they want to do. All of it is layering and it all goes somewhere.
It does. Yeah, I agree. And Tom, I really appreciate your time with us because I had not thought of, until you said it, what are the limits of their powers? What's the limits of their capabilities? What's the limits, how far can we stretch them, or how far, that whole concept of how far are you willing to go? How far can you go? I hadn't really thought about that till we started talking about it. So I really appreciate your insights on that, of just seeing that, because that really is one of the major themes of this season. I mean, because I'm thinking of almost every single character. That's where it's at for every single one of them. That's the theme.
I just did a search for when is season 4 of Invincible coming out, and I come across this article. The very beginning of the article says Invincible season 4 is on the way, and if you believe showrunner and creator Rob Kirkman, its release date might arrive faster than a speeding bullet.
Well, yeah, I remember when season 2 happened, they were talking about 3 and 4 basically being done at the same time. So
nice.
It could be like maybe just the end of the year and we're back into it.
Nice.
That'll be good. I am enjoying the series. It's been really good. It's been really good. See, and then Tom, we can have you back sooner, but we don't have to have you back for Invincible. We can have you back for other stuff too.
Yeah, I think we're going to find another subject for Tom until season 4 comes out.
Yeah, I would like to have you, Tom, with your next Kickstarter coming up. I think I want to have you on to kind of help be a part of that, whatever we can do to kind of help you with that Kickstarter and what all it's going to be. What's your next one going to be? Can you tell us?
So, this year is our 15-year anniversary for the company. It's also the 15-year anniversary of the first 2 books that we did, which was the first was Penny for Your Soul, and then the second one was Critter. So we already did a Critter campaign in January, and so we're bringing Penny for Your Soul back for the next volume, April 9th. We're going to launch it. It's a Wednesday night. We're going to launch it right before we go to C2E2, so that it'll be live as we run into C2E2. And we can talk about it to people at the con while we're there. So, Penny for Your Soul is basically, now, ironically, it's a polar opposite of what Critter is, but that is the only books that we have that exist in the same universe. Critter and Penny for Your Soul are the same universe. And in fact, we did a crossover where Critter went to Vegas and met the Penny for Your Soul characters. Critter 7 and 8 of the ongoing series was the crossover. And then the last volume of Penny for Your Soul tapped back into the Critterverse where we have a character who was killed in the Critterverse, and basically her soul is trapped in purgatory, and so the Penny for Your Soul crew is now going into purgatory to find this soul. So we're integrating the two universes, even though from a storytelling standpoint they're just complete opposite elements, and each one has its own purpose. There's definitely threads that go between the two of them. So it's been interesting to kind of play around with that. And then with Critter 25, that's the one we just did in January. Once that's done, or out to the backers, I'm already working on what will then be volume 7, starting at issue 26, and that will again, sort of just like with Invincible, it'll sort of add layers to what we're doing, and it'll connect back to Penny for Your Soul even more. So just over time, the more time we have, the more we can kind of stuff them together and show everybody kind of how this whole thing works. But yeah, the gist of Penny for Your Soul is a demon decides she wants to get in on the end of days battle between heaven and hell. So she sets herself up in Las Vegas with a hotel and casino, offers to buy her patron souls for $10,000. Of course, heaven and hell start noticing the missing souls and come looking, and that's what kind of kicks the whole thing off. And we've already done we've done 5 volumes of Penny for Your Soul, so this will be volume 6 within the whole run of the series. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very fun. Very
yeah,
cool.
very theology. It's really strange, because when I put the book out, I was fully prepared for like pushback, because like in my book, like Jesus is a televangelist in Las Vegas and stuff like that. And I was really prepared for like hard pushback, and I really didn't get any. There were some people that were kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing?" But I mean, I even have like I don't know if there's different terms for it: ministers, priests, pastors, whatever. From the different
depends on denomination.
Depends on the denomination. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were guys that would come and see me at cons, and they're reading the book. They're reading Penny for Your Soul, and they wanted to come talk to me about the book, because they even told me, they were like, "Look, we understand this is a work of fiction. We're okay with that. But what's interesting is that you're tapping into, within your story, you're still tapping into Bible stories, Bible verses, Bible concepts, and then just taking them and moving them into this thing." So they're like, "You've read the Bible," and I'm like, "Well, I've read it within the context that I need to read it. I understand this story and this story and this story, and this is how I can, expand it into what I do." But yeah, the fact that I actually have religious folks that are into the book was like, what? How did that happen? That should be the opposite of that. So I kind of felt like, oh, I think I'm doing it right. But then at the same time, I'm like, but I didn't get any real pushback, so maybe I'm doing it wrong. Like I don't know where I am with this thing. So, but it's evolved over time, and I've had fun with it. It's really great, and I've been doing a lot of Mary Magdalene studying lately, because she's the focus of this next portion of the story. I have there was a pastor's wife, Billy Ray Bates, who I met at a con, and she was asking me about the book, and I was talking to her about, Mary Magdalene's, the friend of Danica who runs the casino, and she loves Mary Magdalene. She's written stuff about Mary Magdalene before. So she actually did a foreword in one of my books many years ago about Mary. So it's been a really strange journey with that book, but it's also pretty cool. So yeah.
Well, we're excited. When does that Kickstarter start?
So April 9th. It's a Wednesday night. We'll probably launch it around 8:00 Eastern time. I'm Eastern time. So about 8:00 Eastern time. And then we'll have 24-hour. Normally what we do is we usually launch on a Saturday morning, and we do like day one specials. Like you can get certain books on day one only. We have a special like trading cards that everybody who's there on day one gets the card just automatically. But since we're going to launch it on a nighttime this time, we're going to just expand all of that to 24 hours, first 24 hours. So you'll have from 8 to 8 to get all of the, day one bonuses as far as that stuff goes. But other than that, it'll be pretty much our normal thing. We, our Kickstarters kind of work all the same. so people know what to expect and how it works. And we're going to add a couple of new things this time, but it'll basically work the same. And then, like I said, we'll run it through C2E2, so we can get all those folks involved, hopefully. And then in May, we go really big in May. That's where our cons really start going crazy. Motor City, and then up to Traverse City. Then I go to Ostravaganza in New York, like the first weekend of June. And then after that, it's out to Albuquerque. So it gets crazy May and June. We get a little wild. But in May, we're doing a special little mini short story because it's the 40th anniversary of an old 80s anime called The Dirty Pair. And it was an anime that I always liked when I was a kid. And it's just two girls. It's like a futuristic thing. So it's like two girls who are like agents at a government facility that just help people do what they do, but they're just chaos. And everything they do is problematic. So when I found out that was the 40th anniversary this year, I was like, oh, how do we do something like that? And sort of pay a little tribute and homage to it. So what we're doing is a short story with our characters Critter and Blue Jay. And Blue Jay's like just normal like person name is Chloe. So it's called Critter and Chloe. And basically we're just doing a little tribute story that's exactly out of Dirty Pair style storytelling, with a few different covers. So Critter and Chloe, they've kind of teamed up on covers in the past. Like we did a Cannonball Run 40th anniversary cover with like the Lamborghini girls. So they were the girls in the Lamborghini. We did like a Doghouse team up, like old Marvel team up. Like we did a Doghouse team up homage cover, and we put the two of them together. So they've kind of teamed up off and on a little bit, just for some fun stuff. So it was sort of a natural, just team up, and we'll be doing a Kickstarter for that in April. And then we'll have some convention exclusives for it too. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you guys got a lot coming up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. All right. Well, gosh, we went past time again, like always. Anything else that we needed to chit chat about or wrap up, or?
I don't know. I think we covered Invincible 3 pretty well.
Yeah. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Then all right. Well, real quick, everybody, don't forget, please check out Tom's website, which is www.bigdoginc.com, bigdogink.com. If you want to help support him and his work on Patreon, just go to the Patreon /Big Dog Inc. with a K. You can find it very quickly that way. That's the quickest way to find it, by the way.
Yep.
If you try to search for it, you'll go around the world.
Searching, yeah. Patreon needs to fix their stuff, but if you just take the link, you'll be fine. It'll take you right there.
Yeah.
And then wherever you do social media, we're on all the social media places. So you can look up Big Dog Inc. You can look me up. We do most of our stuff on Facebook. That's kind of where it starts, and then kind of filters out to the rest. But wherever you do that stuff, you can find us.
Yes. And just a reminder, if you look Tom up, it's Tom Hutchison, not Hutchinson. There's no N, kind of a thing. So Hutchison. Everybody, also, if you want to check out our website at, there's our website, www.2geeksmic.com. That's the number 2, GEKSMIC.com. There you'll see our show schedule, our latest podcast, also our link to our Ko-fi page, which is the Patreon framework. We don't use Patreon, we use Ko-fi. And then also to our merch page. That merch page is, if you want to go directly to it, www.2geeksmicmerch.com. And then our Ko-fi page, if you want to see it, it's just ko-fi.com/2 geeks there. And if you want to also reach out to us with some comments or thoughts or just any kind of interactions, you want to yell at Mike or myself, you're more than welcome to at show@2geeksmic.com. All right, Mike.
All right. With that said, please make sure and go and like and subscribe to us on Rumble, Twitter, or Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, which unfortunately we did not go live on Facebook today. Something
We'll get it
happened.
posted.
Yeah, but we'll get it posted later. I try to post different things, some funny memes, so on and so forth, and any upcoming information for upcoming episodes of our show. And speaking of that, we normally go live on on Facebook, Rumble, and all those at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday. You do the math on the rest because I don't like math. And with that said, please do not Steven Skep this episode because we are much more better than the rest. Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,
May the force be with you.